everyone, and welcome back to one more video. Today I'm exploring the world of Exo action points runes placement in Dofus. I've tried placing Exo action points runes in 100 sunflower shields, and I've crunched some serious numbers to see just what your chances are and what it might cost you. So let's dive into the statistics and see whether it's worth trying to place these runes yourself or just buying the shield outright from the market. So what I did basically was I went to the beta and I just collected 100 sunflower shields. I also collected 10,000 action point runes and I tried to apply these runes on the shields, okay? Then I just counted how many tries I had to do for each shield, and then I did a whole statistics about that, okay? So a disclaimer, okay? These will be more accurate the more shields I will do. I just did 100 because it takes quite some time, but if I would do, for example, 1000, which was my first idea, my data will be way more accurate, but I think we can already have quite some clue about what is worth or not to buy just, for example, a shield in the market or do the shield for yourself by placing the runes. Also, Ankama said that the runes to put the Exo AP or the Exo MP will be 1% to put inside of the shield, but this was already a long time ago, so that was the main reason why I wanted to do this experiment, to see actually if it's still 1%. So overall, the average was 1.2% chances of putting this rune. It is slightly more than 1%. So 100 tries, it's quite a lot, but not as much as could be, for example, 1000 tries. There we actually could see exactly if it would bounce more to the 1%. So, but anyway, I will explain here that even though it's 1.2%, we have a lot of outliers. We have some times where the rune tries goes over 300 tries, and some goes with just 10 tries, okay? So because of it, it's normal that it will be 1% or 1.2%, but there are other factors that may be important to discuss in this video, okay? So let's start things off with the histogram. So as you can see in this histogram, it shows the number of attempts needed to successfully place a rune. As you can see, while most attempts cluster around fewer tries, some take much more, which can significantly increase costs. So in the beginning, as you can see, kind of seems like a curve going down and down and down and down. So in the beginning, from 10 to 20 tries, I had 15 shields that got into this range. So that's quite good. It's not so many runes that you have to waste, but still a bit. If we take in consideration that the runes cost 30,000 kamas, still between 10 and 20 is between 300,000 and 600,000. It's still less than it costs to basically buy a shield. Normally a shield is like 1 million kamas if the runes are around 30,000 kamas. But as you can see, there were still some that were above 100 attempts, and so that will cost you more than 3 million kamas to do the shield, so it's really not worth it if you go into this range. So now let's go to the cumulative distribution function. I also did this function here, this graph, and it shows the probability of succeeding at rune placing within a given number of attempts. It's a great visual to understand at what point most successes occur, okay? So as you can see here, between the 50, I would say like around the 65, 60 attempts, it's where you have like a 50% probability, okay? So basically until 65 tries, you have probability of 50% chances to be below these tries. So as you can see, the cumulative distribution function, it's actually, once you get to like 0.5, 50%, it's more or less 50 something or 60 attempts. And this is still quite expensive, right? If you do 60 times 30,000, it's still quite a lot. It's 1,800,000 kamas. So it's still not worth it. Even if you are more or less in average luck, you still pay more than you would buy in the shop. But this function here, I think it's like really the best one that I did here. You can really see that like in just a few attempts, the probability increases a lot. And then after some range, after like 80 or so, it starts to decrease quite a bit. So, but as you can see, it's not super worth to place runes instead of buying. So, but you can also see more or less if it's worth it or not with this graphic. If in your server there was actually the shields are more expensive than 50%. So basically, if they are more expensive than the price of the rune times 60, then it might be worth it to try and see your luck, see if you can put it the runes for yourself. So now we have the box plot here, and it's basically for people that don't know what is a box plot. It's basically just this graphic here, and it's quite important, this one, because it kind of tells us what are the outliers, which are these circles here around, and this basically means that these points here, which are the outliers, do not really matter, let's say, for the data, because they are kind of extraordinary, so they are kind of outside of the normal range. Okay, so if we ignore those things here, it means that you are like, you need to be very unlucky to have like to be, in your case, an outlier, which is still possible to do because there are like more or less 5 outliers, so that's basically 5% of the chances from my case. This red line here represents the median, which means that 50% of my tries are before this value, before the 60, around 60 value, and the other ones, the other 50% are above this line. So this here shows us that there were a lot of tries before the average, before the 60, so it's way more dispersed after the average than before the average. Before the average there were still quite some tries that got before the average, and after that there was way more dispersed. But this also shows us that if we had more tries, if we had like for example 1000 tries, maybe this box plot could be a bit different, could be more accurate, but still we can still have an overview, and I'm very confident in these graphs and in these statistical analysis. So let's move on. I also calculated the confidence interval, and for those who doesn't know what this means, this basically tells us what will be the 95% chance of occurring. So what is the grand majority of the possibilities. And according to my calculations, it will be between 3% and 7.2%. So basically 95% of the tries were between 3% and 7.2%. So instead of the 1.2% that I had in the overall tries, it was actually like the majority, the grand majority was between 3% and 7.2% that I managed to put a rune inside of the shield. So let's quickly do an economic analysis, okay? So each rune, if it costs 3000 kamas, and if you're placing the runes yourself, the cost quickly adds up with each attempt, okay? So for instance, in my data, there was an average of 82.8 attempts per successful placement. And considering only the cost of the runes, you are looking at spending about 2.5 million kamas, okay? So if we take just into the average, that's what happens. But if you take into consideration about the cumulative percentage, the cumulative probability from the graphic that I show you, it will be around 60 tries that you'll have 50% chance, okay? So it's actually less than the 82.80 attempts, it's just 60 attempts. So so because of it, we actually can reduce this amount of kamas spent, and we can put it at 1.8 million kamas. So in my opinion, actually the 50% chances of you getting the rune, it's actually around 60 tries, but it's still quite more expensive than you normally buy in the market. So in my opinion, it's not really worth to place the runes in the shields. So always take into consideration that check the price of the runes and also check the shield, okay? So check the price of the shield, the Exo action point shield. If it's more than actually buying 60 runes, then it might worth for you to try. But if you don't like luck, it's always good to just buy it from the market. Or if you really believe in luck and you are playing with AK Flip, try yourself and see if you're lucky. Some people try it and get it in one try. For example, from my 100 tries, I had one shield that I got it in exactly one try. I tried one time and the rune entered. It's possible for you to just waste 30,000 kamas or 30 million kamas. So it's really all about luck, but in here I'm just showing you what is more probable to happen. But so I'm just here really trying to set realistic expectations and for you guys also to save a ton of money. In the beginning it seems like, oh my god, I don't want to waste 1 million kamas in one shield that just gives me 1 action point, but it's honestly super worth it. And trust me, I wasted too much commas, way more trying to put runes when I was starting the new servers than actually buying, because I always thought that would be more worth to trying to put the runes myself. And it's honestly always, I waste more than 1.5 or 2 million commas all the time. It's really not worth it at all. And so you guys have an idea, whenever I start a new server, it's one of my first priorities is to get 1 Exo action point shield. So I always try to save money to get one, because it's really important, it's really one of the best things. So at level 60, I normally already have a good set, and already have the shield as well. So I already get around 11 to 12 action points in my characters. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please let me know if you guys find this useful. Also, please leave a like and feel free to subscribe. More than 80% of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed, so that would help me a lot to continue and keep me motivated doing these videos. And so, guys, see you next time.